to finish the trifecta of plastic surgery topics for this week's episode, I found this to be really, really interesting. So there is a lot of data out there and research about who is more or less likely to get plastic surgery. We've talked about this off and on in different ways. So I don't know. I mean, do you guys, any idea who might be more likely to get plastic surgery? I bet you guys can pick one.
Are we talking like
just in general,
Christianity and
no, anything,
Buddhism?
man, like anything, like
Women?
yeah, right, there you go. So women are much more likely to get that's one. People who have body image issues.
Yeah.
You know, people who look at themselves and say, I don't like the way this looks. Obviously, right? Because why would you get plastic surgery if you thought that you look perfect? Interestingly enough, people that have increased social media consumption are more likely to have plastic surgery.
Oh.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the stuff on social media, and you know, if you see it, you're more comfortable with it, and you're more likely to go get it. Or you might be influenced by an influencer or like your favorite pop star or actress or whatever. So less likely, people that are less likely to get plastic surgery, and I've seen this, is people who are devout religious
Yeah.
are less likely to get plastic surgery. And that, I guess that makes sense. I mean, sort of. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't get religious people in my office, because I do. I would say I don't get a lot of devout religious people. Like people that's like, I go to church or whatever.
Because it's seen as something as like vain.
Yes, like correct.
And that's
it was
like,
interesting.
That's a sin.
It was interesting when I started digging into this, like how many articles popped up, and it was like churches talking about plastic surgery. And it was kind of cringe, to be honest, because I mean, I don't know. It was just like, oh, you know, just make sure that if you're like, we don't really have a stance on this, but you know, we just want to make sure that you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, which, I mean, I get, right? There are definitely bad reasons to get plastic surgery, but I don't know. It was kind of, I could only get through a couple of them. But interestingly enough, in getting to the point of this topic is, even though religious people get less plastic surgery, did you guys know there is one religion that loves plastic surgery?
Yeah, that's why I answered it that way the first time, because I thought that's what you asked.
Yeah, there's one religion that loves
don't know.
plastic surgery. Any ideas? Any guesses? Travis, did you cheat? Did you look at some?
No, I have not. I'll say Catholics.
Catholics from Travis.
Baptists.
Baptists, both wrong. And looking back, when I read this, I was like, oh, this makes total sense. So it's actually Mormons, Latter-day Saints. So this comes from an article let's see, throw that article up there, Travis, if you would. Yep, this is from, this is an article in the Salt Lake Tribune, which, you know, a lot of Mormons live in Utah. And it was talking about do Latter-day Saints turn to cosmetic surgery in quest for perfection to please God. And it actually was referencing a study that was done by some Brigham Young, I'm not sure they were doctors. I think they were just Brigham Young professors. Throw that next one up there, Travis, in case people want to look it up. Yeah, right here. This is the actual study that was like a survey. And interestingly enough, so the average rate for Mormons to get plastic surgery procedures is 14%. The average rate for them to get non-surgical treatments is 20%. When you compare that to the national average, the national average is 4%. 4% versus 14%.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, because I feel like they're, like, as a girl in that environment, it's like, I feel like they push, like, getting married young, having children young, and it's like, or either having a man having multiple wives.
Oh, right.
All that kind of stuff. So it's like,
it.
I feel like they probably over-sexualize women a lot in that environment. So it's like these girls are like, I have to get married. So I have to look that good to get a man.
Man, that's an interesting take.
Or be the best, or be like the number one wife of 4. And I have to look better.
That's
and
interesting.
I have to, you know.
Well, we're going to dive
so
into that. The first thing I want to say is, you know, when I read it was Mormons, because I would not have guessed, I don't think I would have guessed Mormons. I'm not sure I would have guessed
I
any
only have one friend that's Mormon, and she's definitely not like that
I have
at
a couple, and it's never really kind of came up. The one thing that kind of tipped it off for me, and I was like, oh, that makes total sense. I've always heard that Salt Lake City is known for being a hotbed for plastic surgery. I've heard that many times, that there are a ton of plastic surgeons in Salt Lake. And so I actually did some digging on data. There are more plastic surgeons per capita in Salt Lake City than Los Angeles, than Dallas. Like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. In fact, They are the number 2 city in the entire United States for plastic surgeons per capita is Salt Lake City, with number 1 being, but you know it,
Florida.
yeah, Miami. Yeah, Miami. Also, another interesting fact, breast augmentation is Googled in one state more than any other state, Utah. Isn't that interesting?
Weird.
Yeah, right. Crazy. I was a little, when I read that, I was like, would not have guessed that. But then also when I remembered I didn't know about the breast augmentation Google number 1, but I did know that there are a ton of plastic surgeons in Utah. And like, why would there be a ton of plastic surgeons there if a lot of Mormons weren't getting plastic surgery? Because Salt Lake City is very heavily tilted towards Mormon. And so I started wondering myself, okay, why do Mormons get plastic surgery 3 times higher than national average, which is higher than any other religion? You know, the national average is higher than other religions. And I thought maybe, I was trying to figure this out. I thought maybe, well, this is before I kind of dove into the article. So I kind of see Mormons as being kind of well-to-do, or just in my mind, I didn't know if that was true.
I don't think I've ever met an ugly Mormon.
Huh?
I don't think I've ever met like an unattractive Mormon. Like most of the people that I've seen that are Mormon,
they're pretty well put together, and you're actually getting closer to the answer. I thought it was because Mormons might have more money per capita than other religions, and so I looked that up and I was wrong. Mormons are actually right in the middle. They're just one little tick above average. So it wasn't that they're just rich, because rich people get plastic surgery, and so if a religion has, say there was a religion where everyone in it was dirt poor. Well, obviously no one in that religion is going to get plastic surgery because it's out of pocket. So I was totally wrong on that, but you actually are very close to at least what this article was thinking, is that, and I only know a couple Mormons. I have one friend and we talked a little bit about it, but not into a lot of detail. So I'm speaking based on what I read in the article, that Mormons do believe heavily in being like this perfect, worthy member of the church, like this ideal person, and whether it be spiritually or how they present themselves. And so the article was debating whether or not Mormons feel like they have to change their bodies to make that perfect image.
Got it.
And that kind of goes a little bit towards like
how they view women, I guess maybe.
Well, you were talking about like because they get married young. I don't know, like I don't know enough about Mormons to say if to even like opine about that. I mean, you probably know as much as I do. I do see this though, because I will tell you that the Mormon people I do know, they all are just very well put together. Like their families, it's like they have perfect families, Or
they appear that way anyway.
They appear that way, right? Like they may not really be perfect, but they appear like this just perfect cookie cutter, like Americana family. And, I could sense that maybe there would be a lot of pressure to not only
in their environment.
In their environment to not only, to be the part, but to look the part. And so that's what the article is kind of like going after, is like, well, it's maybe this thought of being this perfect person, which should, be more spiritual, as kind of filtered into.
Are there more Mormon men that get plastic surgery versus like regular American men?
I will go back and look. I flipped through the article and I didn't notice if it had a breakdown by sex.
Because we know like women will outweigh it, but like I wonder if like
it's about
the
90
percent
to
of
10.
men.
Yeah, 90 to 10 is the national average, I believe, for female versus male plastic surgery. Although that's actually, as we've talked about in previous episodes, it's slowly edging up on men. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, and I should have looked that up.
I could see that.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I'll tell you, even the Mormon guys I know like tend to be in pretty good shape. Like one of my many business partners is Mormon, and dude like puts me to shame. I mean, I think he works out like every single day. And is that because he's Mormon, or maybe he just loves working out? I don't know. I mean, but
maybe like people that don't fit that box, that Mormon religion, they're just like, okay, I don't want to be Mormon anymore, and they're just
maybe, or maybe like if you're not like that perfect fit thing, then
they just kind of
like they still have like shaming. Yeah, they still have shaming and more. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're like you're not. Yeah, you're not one of us. You need to go. Yeah.
But anyway, it was a very interesting article because there's definitely a much higher percentage of Mormons getting plastic surgery than any other religion, and even than the national average. Yeah. And I'm not sure like it's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, as long as people aren't going overboard with it. I mean, there's a lot of data to support that having plastic surgery has a lot of like very good benefits for, self-esteem, self-worth, or whatever. But as we've talked about, I mean, obviously you don't want to like take it to an extreme. It's like anything, right? Anything, too much of anything is generally bad.
It's how I live.
Yeah.
Try to, anyways.
But it was interesting to read about that. I'm going to have to ask my friend about that. I do have a pretty good friend who's Mormon that I talk to pretty regularly, and I didn't see him today. I thought I might run into him. I was going to ask him about it.
Yeah. My Mormon friend, she said like that's a really small percentage of people that actually practice polygamy in Mormon.
Oh yeah, I know that's right. Yeah, very, very small percentage.
Yeah, but there are.
There's a few out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
but they actually like marry. Like they have like
Multiple wives.
like 4 wives,
I've known several Mormon people over the years, and none of them, like to them, that was like kind of fringe.
Yeah, that's like
it's like the fringe part of their religion. It's like
the old ways.
There's like the snake handling Baptists or whatever. Like
that's the ones that's like speak in tongues.
Yeah, right. It's like that's like their fringe area, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone's got them.
Yeah.
So, but interesting stuff about the Mormons. But all right, I think that's all we got today. Some pretty good topics. I think you're gonna have one next week. Mm-hmm. I'll probably do the internal bra. So we already got some pretty good ones coming up next week. So make sure you come back, tune in next week. If you want us to talk about a topic, just leave us a comment and maybe we'll hit it on the next episode of Nip Talk. Bye.
Bye.